Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the BFG podcast. Today, me and Jonathan are here to talk about the final game before the World Cup break for the Wellington Phoenix men as they took on Western United in round 6 of the Hyundai A-League. And here is Jonathan to give his thoughts.
Here's my thoughts. We don't have a bleeper, so I'm going to have to bleep myself. What a bleep, 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 bloody bleep, bleep, bleep kind of performance was that? Bleep, bleep, bleep. I picked the Knicks to win 6-1 based on how they played the week before. They came out in the first half, absolutely dominated possession. Second half, we're 2-0 up. And then just bleep, 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 bleep. It all fell to pieces. Bleep, bleep, bleep.
We can say this, will you take F-bombs at the TV?
Well, I was listening to it because we were driving home from Wellington, so I had the SCN radio coverage going on, so I wasn't watching it. So, and I wasn't swearing when I was in the car driving, but when I went back and watched, because I got home, sat down and watched a recap, watched the second half from about the 50-minute mark through to the end, and oh my God, absolute house of cards. What a travesty.
And I'll correct my intro. It's Isuzu now, not Hyundai.
It's Isuzu.
They changed cars.
So, highlight of the match for me was Uffy getting his second yellow card for the season, because he was absolutely going off on the sideline. He was giving it to anyone and everyone that would listen. And that shows how passionate he was. And he was giving it to his own players too. Those players, they would have gone back to the sheds after the game with their heads down going, oh, beep, we're going to get a real good telling off from Uffy after this, because he was beep when, he was really going off at his own team.
Uffy rage.
Oh, but the header that they got, so they had the set piece, ball comes across, hits the first one of the Western players, goes across, hits the second one, and just pops in. There were not. I paused the game and I watched it. There were 9 of our players in the box, and not one of them managed to stop the ball. 9 players defending the set piece, and none of them stopped the header or had. Holy shit! Beep beep beep. Oh.
That Diamante goal at the end was superb.
Oh, yeah, and class. What a classy player. Obviously, Western have been playing shocking all season. They're at the bottom of the table, and then yesterday they came out. They brought Diamante in the second half. At, what is he, like 39 years old or something? And he can still score with, like a bang of goals. So, full credit to Western. They rightfully deserved that win. They played well. They got 3 goals. They got 3 goals past us, and we should have been going into the break with 2 wins in a row under our belt. But here we are. We basically got our beep handed to us yesterday by a team that's been lackluster.
I don't know if you can tell on the radio, but some of the refereeing was quite poor yesterday. Not the greatest refereeing performance in the world.
Yeah, I did hear that there were, he got the referee put his yellow card, kept his cards in his pocket for the last half an hour, which is when Western Rio really started muscling up. That sandwich that David Ball got stuck in, I mean, oh man, that looked like it hurt. And I think, there were a lot of people saying that Uffy shouldn't have subbed off the 2 strikers and brought Wayno and Ball on. But Wayno and Ball didn't lose the match for us. That's our back 4 that lost the game for us. We some days we're great, and other days, which happens to be more than often this season, there's like a sieve at the back. They're not physical, they're not demanding. We're just letting too many goals go past.
One of the gentlemen, I forget his name on, not our supporters group, but one of the other supporters groups is bringing that point up again. Like, even I'm not the only one starting to say cut the losses now. After yesterday's game, there were quite a few saying cut your losses,
Who
buy
would you
some
cut?
more.
I mean, the only player I can see that would be cut at the moment would be Sass, who has fallen out of favour. He started the first game, got red carded, sat out for 2 weeks, came back, and he's been average or below average. But I mean, as a professional football player, he needs to pull his finger out and start playing well. But from a player care perspective, there's a guy who's packed up his whole life and moved halfway around the world to play football. And if you get sold or transferred halfway through the season, that must be pretty soul destroying.
I'm only kidding, but Suarez is a free agent. So,
And then and you get your keyboard warriors going that Uffy needs to go. That Uffy was the problem. Uffy is not the problem. Uffy is not the problem. Uffy as a coach is fantastic, and it's, as I said, second time this season he's got a yellow card. I'm looking forward to the day he gets a red card because Marco Redan he's got a red card once or twice. But Uffy is so passionate, and the way that he set the player. And interestingly, this morning, there were people going, oh, blah blah, bad subs, and it's come out. I think Rolo reported it, that Uffy was trying to make a sub and get Tim Payne into the box to defend, but the microphone wasn't working between the assistant referee and the main referee on the field. So the main referee just let play go when Uffy was trying to get one of our key defenders in there. So that didn't do us any favours. However, the best way I've heard it described, and this was on Facebook yesterday by a guy, was that the Phoenix are toothless, not ruthless. When it comes to the crunch and we really need to pin a team down and give them that knockout blow, our guys go, oh, no, we won't do that. We'll just sit back a little bit. We'll just let them run at us now. There's something in the mentality of the players that's just not ruthless. And we need to get that. And another thing, and I'm going on a rant here so you can see, I'll just go on my soapbox. I don't know that Ollie Sale's the right person as captain. Now, that's not to say that Ollie Sale isn't a great captain, because he's a fantastic guy. He leads from the back. He yells a lot. I just don't think that having a goalkeeper as captain is working for us this season. We need someone in the midfield who has all of the players around them, who takes no nonsense and gives them hell if they're not performing. So no offence to Ollie Sale, he's a fantastic captain, but with the players around him and the way that our team is performing this year, I think it needs to go to someone else who can really tell those players to get their beep into beep, beep, beep.
I don't know if you
That's my rant. Go.
I don't know if you saw the penalty that we got, but it was a lovely, nice save by Jamie Young. Costa's penalty.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio, and shout out, big ups to the guys at SEN Sports. They do a fantastic job commentating, and they were quite right. If Costa had got that in, sure, it was down and to the right. Jamie Young, nice save. But if Costa had got that in, if anyone had got that in at 2-0 up, going into halftime, it would have been game over. We would have gone on to a 4-5, 6-1 win, which I predicted 6-1. But we missed it. Costa missed it. They saved it. We collapsed in the second half.
Do you think the penalty was a collapse?
I think it was a sign of things to come, and I think Western knew that once they got that first goal, that soft one, they knew they were in the game. Their mentality changed. The whole ebb and flow of the game changed, and they had all the momentum from that point on, and they just ran over us. Admittedly, though, at halftime, they did bring on a couple of really big guys, and that's why Van Hatten was brought on, because Van Hatten was a little bit more physical, and some of our guys had run their legs off. And so, kudos to the Western team and their coach for making that call and putting the right players in the right time. But our boys need to harden the beep, beep, beep up. Harden the beep, beep up.
Yeah.
Start ranting again. I better shut up.
I know. I know I've been harping on about this for a few weeks now, but I'll be very interested to see how that January window goes.
We've got to get someone. I mean, we've got to harden up that back four.
Because
Wooten is fine. Laws is fine. I mean, they're nice players. They're doing well. They're doing okay. We don't need okay. We need players who are going to muscle up. We need some height. We need a Stephen Taylor who puts his beep on the line and gets in there. Put your balls on the line. Bloody get in there and give it some grief. We need to stop being so nice.
the roster's full, so we have to sacrifice someone. So it'll be interesting to see who they go for.
Well, I think after yesterday's game, there'll be a few people that are a bit nervous about their position. So, who knows? Maybe we'll have. We definitely need to ring the changes because and it was interesting because Western are the other team in the comp that leak goals. We score goals, which is fine, but we leak goals as well, and that was evident yesterday. We're just leaking goals. I mean, come on.
But if we buy, we have to release. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, someone's going to go. Someone, if I don't, I mean, as I say, Uffy was truly, oh, when they have the football matches, you can, and it's on the radio, we can quite often hear get the sideline comment, well, not sideline commentary, but sideline comments. And I tell you, there was some, you think my beeps today, it was a lot worse yesterday. There was some real colourful language coming out from the coaching staff and that. So
there'll be some players getting sold, you reckon? But who is the question?
If I was some of those, I think there's one and two players that'll be pretty nervous right now. They'll be thinking, what do they have to do to keep their job? And Uffy and his team, his guys who he has scouting players, they're switched on. They're not silly. They're not stupid. So I would have no doubt that they've got their eye on one or two people at the moment. Let's wait and see.
Whether that be imports or people coming in, I don't know. Because we got no import spot left, so we get rid of one of the imports, maybe.
And I'd swap an international for an international if we can find someone.
Yeah. Just quickly before we go. Speaking of because this is a men's pod. Speaking of Uffy, he's applied at been and out there. He's applied to that all white job.
Yep.
This week.
Yep.
There is talk that he may do both, like Ricky Herbert back in the day.
Yep.
What do you reckon?
Bloody good idea. I think Uffy can do it. I think he's got the right personality. I think he's got the right philosophy of coaching and the right style of play. I think I watched just on a slightly different track, but I watched Chris Woods playing for Newcastle, and Woodsy's playing some good football. And I think if Uffy was coach and Woodsy was in the team, I think they'd make a pretty good combination. I think they'd work well together. I think Uffy just brings something different. And I'm also being a bit selfish here because if Uffy was the All Whites coach, he won't leave the Knicks. He'd stay in New Zealand for longer. Because you remember, like only a few weeks ago, Blake, you were saying, and there was comments coming up saying Uffy might leave at the end of the season. Uffy will leave. If Uffy is All Whites coach, he won't leave, or there'd be far less chance that he would leave the Knicks. So, from a selfish point of view for the Knicks squad, I'd love for Uffy to do both jobs.
But here's my question: does it work in modern times, like a decade and a half ago when they did it for Herbert? Does it work in this modern game? I'm not so sure.
But Ricky, I think from what I've heard and what I've seen, he got rusty. And it was a bit like the old New Zealand cricket team, when the coach is around too long and they become too friendly with the players. And it happened with the football ferns, when the coaches get too friendly and they develop favourites of their players and they're not willing to make the hard calls. That's when the rust sets in and that's when issues arise. And that's what happened with Ricky. I can't see Uffy doing that. I think Uffy's he's a little bit more. I wouldn't say cutthroat, but he'll make a decision, and he will play the best player. He's not just going to give his mates a run, all the players that he knows too well.
So we'll see what happens there. Any final comments before I say goodbye?
Final comment, and I said this on Instagram yesterday. Thank God the women are playing this weekend, because at least we've got something to look forward to after yesterday's piss poor performance. Oh, sorry, I didn't bleep that one.
On that note, before we get kicked off YouTube, we'll leave.
Brett Goodchild, that comment's for you. You wanted to know he asked me what my thoughts were about the game. There you go.
We'll leave it there. Like and subscribe to this video, and we'll see you on the next one.